player with all these
big deal
big
agent,
clients.
powerful agent for
And
years.
you went from there to Paramount, and from Paramount
Yeah,
to
the
Weintraub?
Paramount to Jerry Weintraub during the Karate Kid movies,
Good
and to
Jerry.
HBO after that for Vietnam War story. And then I read as a reader for William Morris quite a bit in the 90s, and read a script called Hard Rain.
Which, well, it wasn't called Hard Rain then.
I don't remember what it was called. I just
The
remember
Flood.
there was a scene with jet skis in a school. And that's what I remembered from the screenplay. And I said, I want to see this movie. I think I gave it a recommend.
Jim, save it for the podcast.
There you
go. Usually you're recording by now.
This always happens.
Yeah.
This is,
usually you're recording by now.
Yeah, we are. I guess we are recording by now, but I didn't want to start off with Hard Rain.
I'm using all my material in the preliminaries here. I got nothing to say.
I'm glad that you have some material, because when we did Doug... What's his last name? Laux. I never did get his last name down. What a wonderful guest. We had a guy on last week or whatever from the CIA. He was a CIA operative over in Afghanistan, kind of right in the middle of the fucking shit during like.
He spoke the language. He could kind of infiltrate.
Kind of he wrote a book, so therefore we were able to read the book and. We had a really good interview.
We had to do our homework for that one.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah,
which I've never been very good at. But
with you, we can kind of wing it.
Now I can listen to books, right? You know, so now it's not quite as difficult. So I, Mark, you know, went kind of did a little bit of a deep dive into your career, and you know there's a lot of stuff that we probably won't have time to talk about, but also you know, we could fucking sit here and talk about aliens. We usually do like an hour and 15 minutes or something like that. So but let me you know, we've known each other since Aliens, so that was 1985, I believe, is when we were shooting Aliens. One of the things that I remember about you, and one of my fondest memories of shooting Aliens, was you used to cook a lot. Either it was you or your wife or your...
It was me.
It was you. And you used to cook, and you used to have I think it was mostly the cast, over to your place, and we would all have like these, it was either brunch or, you know, sort of things. And it was I thought it was a very unifying situation for the actors. You know, we all became something about that our group, which we still are, there was never any tension. There was never any bullshit. There was never anybody said something. Hey, what do you mean by nothing ever, like that I can remember. But you having those brunches, you know, a couple of them or three of them that I know Bill was at, and was really, really pretty wonderful.
I had pretty much everybody.
Yeah. Lance.
Over and, but the evenings with you and Tim, especially the first dinner, you and Timmy came. Do you recall?
Well, no. Tell me.
Tim talks about it. Yeah, Tim talks about it to this day.
Oh, I know he does. So, you know, well, first of all, we know I got into cooking only because, you know, being in Europe, and one of my mentors was like when I was growing up and in acting school, I used to go to their house for the weekends, and it wasn't like I could just camp out. She was like, if you want to eat, like get in the kitchen here, and you have to like clean all the mussels up before I make moule mariniere. Mm-hmm. So I'd be in the kitchen, I'd be learning from her, and of course I was hungry as hell, so I'd clean as many mussels as she needed me to. But anyway, so got into food, and then I actually got into the wine trade when I was in England, and I had a group of guys in the wine trade, and we would have these dinners. Not so much for the food, but everyone was pretty good in the kitchen, but to pair wine with. So that's what I was really doing with you guys as well. And it was great because the first dinner
get back to me, man. Get back to me.
So the first dinner we have, you know, Michael and I working together, introduced me to Tim. Tim and I had like played golf, and that's a whole other story. But you guys came over for dinner, and within 10 minutes, and I remember really well, I made this like pistachio vegetable mousse terrine that I sliced with a sauce. I mean, we had all kind of fancy food and wine. Within 10 minutes, Tim Colseri's like, is there any meat? Is there any meat? And I was like, yeah, it's coming. And he was like, yo, if you like, I can go to a 7-Eleven and get some cheese and some ham. And I was like
spam.
I was getting a little bit testy. It was like, just sit tight, Tim. I got a whole fucking dinner for you, right? And we had a ball. And of course, Tim finally came around. He's like, oh my God, like, this is the best thing I've ever had in my life, And we had a ball, but that was really good fun. Yeah, and it had the whole cast of aliens over. But truthfully, these are relationships, like you say. It's like Aliens is the only movie in my whole fucking
Mine too, man.
Where we remain friends, we see each other, we respect each other.
And Timmy kind of became a part of our cast because he was so, that, Kubrick had him
isolated. Kubrick had him isolated from the Full Metal Jacket cast.
So he became, he spent Thanksgiving with us. Remember our Thanksgiving dinner was in Sigourney, kind of fell for him. She had a boyfriend that she ended up marrying at that point in her life, but she really liked Timmy, and we all did. And Timmy did the show, and so because I wanted him to do the show called This Show. It's a fucking anyway. So let me ask you about stuff that like I had never seen Rush Hour. Okay, I don't know why. I don't know how I fucking missed Rush Hour, but I had never seen it before. And it was a fucking very good movie. It was a much better movie than I was expecting. Jackie Chan, when I hear Jackie Chan, I just think of a guy that never really learned to speak English that well. And like Arnold never really learned to speak English that well. He became a star. Jackie Chan barely could get any words out in English, and he became a star. So talking is not necessarily that important to becoming a movie star, right?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, you had a very good role in that. They shot it in L.A. Brett Ratner, I believe, directed it. And did you have? I mean, because now we can pick up an iPhone like I did yesterday and say, Jackie Chan's best stunts, and you'll get fucking 10 of them. Did you have any idea at that time what that guy could? Well, I knew. Yeah. Did you know that he could just climb a wall? That didn't, just go up a wall and then jump from that wall to, you knew that.
Yeah. Well, this is the story. So I was 18 years old, almost 19. I was in drama school in London. They put a feeler out to all the drama schools. Anybody have any young American actors? Come in to audition to.
This is before Aliens?
Yeah, before.
I didn't know that.
Long before.
Okay, cool.
To dub these foreign movies.
Right.
And they were Jackie Chan's early Hong Kong titles.
Oh, cool.
Drunken Master, Drunken Monkey.
Oh.
And one other title. Wow. That was my first professional job ever.
Oh.
And off the proceeds of that, I bought my first car. But anyway, but Jackie, so I, having dubbed all of his films, I saw the incredibly insane stunts. Some stunts.
Did you dub his voice?
I dubbed Jackie.
Oh wow!
So when I'm doing
in all of the early movies,
three of them.
Which ones were they?
Drunken Master, Drunken Monkey, and there's one other title.
Fantastic. Okay. But, fantastic. Okay.
So I'm on set with Jackie, and in a quiet moment, like he's phenomenal. He's a phenomenal.
He's got
And he's got this work ethic that is just insane. So Jackie,
more insane than Jim Cameron.
Oh yeah,
really?
So they just paint the picture. So it's like
they should do a movie together, right?
Oh, Jackie would be totally down.
Yeah, I know.
He's so respectful, but like when you set up a scene and you got his mark, he stands there. And I mean, when they've cut and they're setting up the next shot, he stands there. And I was like, Jackie, like, would you like some water? No, I'm fine. Do you want to come and sit down? I said, no, I wait. I said, so why? Like, why are you standing here? Yeah. He said, because in America, you waste too much time. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, in America, you go sound speed, ready, action. In Hong Kong, we don't do this. In Hong Kong, we just go ready, action. Right. So you're wasting film.
Yes. Yeah.
But Jackie, such a gentleman, man. I love the guy. Him and Chris Tucker, both love him. And Jackie, he threw parties for us that were just like he was a partner in Planet Hollywood. He threw a Christmas party. He rented out the whole thing, and it wasn't like, you get a +1. He said to me, he said, you coming to the party? I said, yeah, of course I'm coming to the party. He goes, bring anybody, any friends you want, anybody. So, Michael, I apologize. I didn't invite you. but I have one buddy and his wife that came along.
Yeah.
I swear to you, we walked in the door. Jackie saw us come in the door from afar. He excused himself, came running over to us. He kissed my wife, Georgina.
Did he flip over a table?
Did he climb a wall?
Yeah, cartwheel, somersault, and boom, right there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But he goes and he kisses my wife full on the lips.
Yeah.
And she turns
I've
to me
done that too.
And
but
she
anyway.
goes, oh my God, like I'm in love. And we had the best friggin' time. God, we played pool with his 85-year-old father. You couldn't get him off the table. He beat all of us all night long. And we were there till 5 a.m. It was amazing.
Jackie Chan's father was the pool champion of the day.
No one could beat him.
What was the name of that place? Called the
Planet
Hard
Hollywood.
Rock. Oh,
Planet Hollywood.
Planet Hollywood. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So it was just amazing. But at Jackie Chan, like I witnessed him do these stunts.
Right. Okay.
He's a human cat. It's extraordinary.
He always lands on his feet. He has that quality.
He and his crew, they used to play hacky sack at lunchtime.
Yes.
It was like the best lunchtime entertainment you could ever have. I mean, these guys did things with a hacky sack you couldn't believe.
Really?
Good Lord.
Like throw it like 100 feet in the air and they catch it in the crook of their neck.
And nobody filmed that? You don't have any film of that?
I think this is pre-iPhone days.
Yeah,
wow.
Of course.
Yeah, it would be.
Crazy?
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't, I just didn't have any, I don't think there's any actor. I mean, of course we have Tom Cruise who does all his own stunts or whatever, but I don't think there's an actor that comes close. You talk about Buster Keaton or something. I don't think you have an actor that comes close to being the star of a movie and doing his own stunts and really doing his own stunts and jumping from one car to another and roller skating in cars and just like, I mean, that is just stunning the stunt work. And I remember, this is years ago, I was watched part of one of his movies, and I remember it looked like that he just walked up, ran up to a wall and jumped off of one side of one wall and onto another side of another. Next thing you know, he's 10 feet up. Then he swings up another 20 feet, and it's just like, oh my God, forget the story, forget the fucking dialogue, forget what an incredible.
There were scenes that when I was dubbing the films, there's one particular thing. He fell like 3 stories from awnings that were over windows, and he hit one awning, hit the next awning, hit the next awning, and then the director said, "Oh yeah, that's when he broke his back."
Yes, yeah.
I mean, he's busted so many bones in his body, but I'm telling you, I witnessed his guy. We were in the L.A. Convention Center, and it's a famous scene in Rush Hour when he's nimbly dancing across these girders, and then he jumps onto this huge piece of fabric. And then, so I watched him. He was watching his guy, and his guy was like literally 1 step, 2 step, like not easy.
Yeah.
Marked a thing, and Jackie goes, "Okay, I'm ready." He goes up there. He's not walking. He runs along the girder, and then jumps onto this huge piece of fabric, rappels down it, flips off at the end, lands on his feet, and he's like, "Was that okay?" It's just like, yeah, just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
But such a gentleman, such a cool dude.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Really wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing about it also is that fucking Chris Tucker. Yeah. Jesus Christ. There's no way those lines were written for him. He had to, I'd heard that they'd offered it to Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy passed on it. I don't know if this is true or not, but probably. This guy was I'm not downplaying anything that you did because you had a very, very good role in it. Yeah. But Jackie doesn't really speak English very well. This guy, he created one of the most fascinating, fun characters and added to that relationship between him and Jackie. Yeah. That had to have been him, right? I mean, what?
The most amazing thing about Chris is what you see that character, Carter, it's not Chris. Chris is one of the most sober, straight-faced dudes. Oh, no, he's like Father Earth. He's grounded. Oh, yeah, man, he looks after his entire family. I run into him on occasionally. He's such a sweetheart. But the dude, do you ever see his performance in The Fifth Element?
I don't know that movie very well.
No, he creates this character, this otherworldly character, but he's brilliant. He is flat out brilliant. And he's funny. The blooper line of when he's entering the room and he can't say Chelsea Clinton.
Yes. I saw that.
This
at
is
the end
true
of the
story.
movie. Yeah.
It's a Friday night.
Okay.
It's like 10:30 already.
Right.
Everyone wants to go home.
Everybody wants to go. Yeah.
Get out. We did 65 takes of him coming through the door because he couldn't get it out.
He couldn't remember Chelsea Clinton.
Couldn't say it. Then after a while, he'd walk in, he'd go, "What's my line?" Oh, okay. I got it. Okay, ready. It was just him entering the door and saying this line.
What? Yeah.
And then myself and Rex Lynn, we start to laugh. We're like, I can't contain it. I bit the inside of my cheek not to laugh.
Right.
I swear to you. And finally, take 65. It was the most takes.
65 takes? Dude, sounds like a Kubrick fucking movie, man.
Yeah, really.
It was the most I'd ever been around for in my whole life.
And he just comes in. Does he just say the one line? Yeah. Is it just the one line?
Yeah.
How? Yeah.
Because the whole crew got to laughing.
Right.
And then Brett Ratner got pissed. He was like, "What the fuck? Everybody shut up. We got to get out of here. It's Friday night. No overtime." And then finally he got it, and Brett was like, "Great, that's it. That's going to work." But it was one of the funniest moments on set.
Well, how much, when you read, when you got that script and you read that script, what percentage of what he did,
wow,
as compared to what was written in the script's got to be like 70, 80%. He did his own shit, right? Yeah.
He had the green light. He could do whatever he wanted. It wasn't like Jim Cameron, who when he used to like monitor us and like keep us, like especially Paxton, he would keep Bill reined in.
A little less, Bill. A little less.
or I witnessed occasionally. It's like, "Hey, Bill, don't say that." And Bill would be like, "What, dude? Like I really like that, Jim." He goes, "I don't care. Just don't say it."
I don't even want to cut it out. I don't even want to see it to have to cut it out, Bill. Don't say it.
Exactly.
People have always asked me about Jim, and like, in my experience doing Aliens, of course, and doing the other movies that I did, I never heard him screaming, but he could be very sarcastic. And, he'd say things like to a crew member, "Don't help. All right? Do me a favor and don't help here."
Yeah. But talking about Jim and talking about Aliens, and I want to be able to say this. I say this in interviews anyway, but also to say it on your podcast, is that the most admirable performance in the whole movie, as great as it is, all the way Jim cast, everybody was your performance. Because how the hell? Yeah. Oh yeah. Talk about actor, talk about actor adversity. I mean, to be just the situation that it was with Remar, et cetera, you coming onto set, you even had to get into Remar's freaking costume.
Yeah.
And to enter in with not having like the time that we were able to spend and because we rehearsed.
Yeah.
And got to know each other even better. But you
Yeah.
came in and it was just, I was just in awe because a lot of actors would have been like, hey, wait a second, like I need some more time or anything else. But dude, you just presence, just.
Oh, well, that's nice.
No, absolutely. I know on the set and your relationship with
I don't think
Sigourney.
I've ever had anybody say that to me, Mark. From there.
Seriously?
Well, not. I mean, you've never said that to me before, and that means a lot to me. It means a lot to me. So, so thank you.
Yeah,
and I appreciate that.
I've always felt that it was like Promethean.
Here's the thing that when I talk to people about aliens is that, I had done the Terminator with Jim. So I knew Jim and Gail and, so when they went off to do Aliens, did I want to play Hicks? Fuck yes, I wanted to play Hicks,
Had you read it?
I read that, yeah.
Okay.
I read. I knew that Jim was doing another movie. I've forgotten whether it was Hicks. Did I want to work with Jim again? Of course I wanted to work with Jim again.
Sure.
And, I heard that it was cast and whatever. I might not have even have read it. I don't think I did read it, but still, I wanted to be in it. But I knew, and Bill had been cast in it, and I thought, oh, gee, well. And at that point, I didn't know. I was like, whatever. I was a working actor. It wasn't that big of a deal. But here's the thing about Hicks, which made it easier, is that when I did the Terminator, I had all the exposition, all of it. I had to tell her who she was. I had to tell her who I was. I had to tell her about the future. I had to tell her about the Terminator. And I was just talking throughout the fucking entire movie, like lots and lots and lots of dialogue. And, Jim was smart enough, obviously, to put it in all these car chases and stuff. So you got the exposition. The story comes out in those car chases and while we're hiding and while there's tension and stuff. So when I went over to do Aliens, Mark, fucking Hicks, doesn't fucking say much. Grunts here, says a word there, and, it was... falls asleep. I always felt like I could just fall asleep, party all night long, come onto the set and just be laid out on the floor. And people would go, look at Michael, he's fucking it. Look at he's in character. He's fucking playing. So, but there's certain times, like with that character, Mark, one of the things that, and I don't know how Remar would have played that. Remar, listen,
I can
this
only
is not my
say
interview, but go ahead.
I can only say from rehearsal that he was more bent on being the guy. Like he was intense, but in almost like, he wasn't really part of the ensemble. He wasn't. Even during rehearsals, like Jeanette and I, who played Vasquez, like she and I cemented a relationship, like Paxton, everybody else. But Remar was like, hey, I'm the fucking dude. And he was at the time. Like he was pretty hot in his career.
No, he was very hot.
But he didn't feel like he was part of it. And why I admire your performance is because you were grounded in, like, it's one of those things like actors have to learn how to do, is like, you hang inside of the character. You don't have to do shit. But I could see you thinking and really piecing things together and trying to hold your tension, or trying to, like, not allowing us to see that you were feeling a lot of tension about the situation. Like you were an officer.
I was what?
An officer.
Yeah, well, one of the things that Jim and Gail, they pulled me aside at one point and said, something we're getting here, Michael, from you that we didn't see with James is your smile. Your smile. You've got to, we really like that. We really like the fact that, and you look back at Hicks and, watches her do the loader, and he's smiling, and he's whatever. He's one of my, and to a certain extent, there were two tiers to a man respecting a woman in that movie, and one was me and Sigourney, and one was you and Jeanette's character, and so we have a scene in the movie where who's in charge? Hicks is in charge. Oh well, this was a moment that I chose in that movie that I think of as an acting moment that I chose. Probably another actor wouldn't take. And my line was, "Yeah, I'm in charge. Let's fucking do this," But what I did, and I remember doing it, but it plays really well, was like, "Oh, fuck, I am in charge. Shit. Now what? I don't want this responsibility." All of that's going through my head, and then I'm going, "Okay, grab him and do this," and And one of the important things about Hicks was submissive is not the right word, but to the woman. He looked at Sigourney's
deferred,
yeah. Thank you, Jim. He looked at and deferred to what's Sigourney's name in the movie? Ripley, of course. To Ripley. And because he knew, he was smart enough to know, like, she knows more than we do, so let's listen to her. Mm-hmm. And you have the relationship right off the top, and I think I don't know if you and I have spoken about it before. But talk to me a little bit about you and Jeanette's, how you guys, because you guys had really something special.
Yeah.
Inside of that group of special actors, you guys had something that was even stronger.
I mean, this is one of what I say often is Aliens and Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
We had a rehearsal period. That's so necessary. It's a really great foresight for Jim and the people who did Shawshank is that you as actors you get to know each other's rhythms, each other's energy. And Jeanette and I had time to sit down and go, so what's our deal in this thing? And then we came up with this whole storyline. We were in Borstal together. We were in like youth prison together. Gangs killed somebody. And we got this offer to go on this mission, which, we knew we might die.
Right.
But anything was better than where we were.
Right.
And we made a pact that we were going to have each other's back. And it played out so beautifully. I mean, even that, like my expiring moment when it's like, you see Vasquez go, "No, Drake," and you being the officer, "Drake, we are leaving." Boom.
Right.
So tension filled, but I think it's Jim's best movie because the characters are so well delineated and it was an ensemble piece.
Well, here's another thing, Mark, that I think it's the best movie I've ever been in. Now you've got Shawshank, which is pretty comparable, but it's the best movie that I've ever been in. Yeah. And I believe, and I've told Jim this before. I've told a lot of people this before, that you could take that movie and release it today in the movie theaters and nobody would bitch and moan about the visual effects.
Absolutely.
Nobody would say like, "Wow, that looks a little wanky. That looks a lot,"
There's
and that's
no one would say it needs more CGI. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Dude, I think it's flawless.
I do.
There are movies where you have the gotcha moment. It's like, look at that. It's like, it takes you out of the movie. Nothing takes you out of this movie. Nothing. And even with Stan Winston's brilliant, special effects, there's nothing about it that didn't look absolutely real. He created this world that we believe in. I mean, we believe it.
Well, and, I met Ridley Scott once for a movie that he did that Josh Brolin, and I think Josh Brolin ended up playing the role. And Josh and I knew each other from Grindhouse, the Grindhouse stuff. But I met him once, and I came into the room, and he didn't look like he was even fucking happy to see. There was no, "Hey, Michael, how you doing? You know, there was no talk about aliens. There was no talk about Jim Cameron. There was no talk about nothing like that. Now, I got all the respect in the world for him, but man, I don't think he wanted any, you know, I had kind of a good agent at the time, and okay, I'll see him, you know, but the thing about the movie was that Jim got Alien as a Jeff. I mean, Alien itself is a fucking pretty brilliant movie as far as the genre, as far as it being a horror movie in space. And, you know, Jim added the action to it. And I compare those two movies to a little bit like Terminator and T2. Alien and Aliens. Mm-hmm. So, but I think that, well, and by the way, I think they're now, I'm seeing on buses now, there's a, do you know the name of the director? For the new Aliens television?
Romulus? No, yeah, I don't know the director.
Yeah, okay, well, he's the guy who did Fargo, the television series, not the movie. Mm-hmm. Fargo, I love the movie. Absolutely love it, the Coen Brothers. That movie, love that movie. But we're talking about your movies here. No. So, let me make sure that I've gotten. I wanted to talk to you about Rush Hour. Oh yeah, you had pretty fucking high billing. You had pretty good billing.
Yeah.
And by that time, by the way, were you in the screen? Explain the residual situation on Aliens, and then and by the way, were you in the Screen Actors Guild when you did Rush Hour?
Yes. Yeah. The Aliens was the only one because I trained in Britain, living in Britain at the time when Aliens was being cast, and we were all part of what they call British Actors Equity. There was an agreement that a film would come into town.
I'm smiling. I'm sorry.
It's a sad story.
It's sad for you. Sad for you. I know it.
Yeah. So it's like, no.
See how unhappy I am.
Yeah.
So what happened was like, however many actors they brought, a production would bring over from America, they had to have an equal number of actors hired from British Equity. So that's how I got cast. Through the audition process, et cetera. But it was a buyout contract. So I earned like the same amount of money that Paxton earned. You were probably on more.
I actually keep your thought there for a second. But I actually, when they called me, they say you have to take Remar's contract.
Deal.
You have to get you could take his billing, his money, his everything. But I was like, yeah, fine.
Right.
I'm good to go. Go ahead.
But then but of course, the day that, or a few days after Aliens had been open and was a smash hit, or a while, it had been a while actually, and Paxton called me up one day, and he was like, Mark, did you get the check? And I was like, what check? What are you talking about? Dude, Aliens paid out. Like, did you get it? And I was like, Bill, you know I don't get that shit. I'm British Equity. He's like, oh yeah, that's right. Oh shit. Okay. Well, hey, I'll see it. And I was like, no. I said, you tell me how much you got, or I'm driving down to Santa Monica to your apartment right now. I'm telling you. Yep. And I was going through a divorce at the time, and he was like, it was like $200,000. I was like, $200,000, and I know you guys have made tons throughout the that's I've got a lot of shitty stories like that actually.
I've got a lot of shitty stories.
I missed out on Alien residual. The biggest thing about Aliens is of course we didn't know at the time, it wasn't even part of the zeitgeist of movie business, was that I saved, or they gave me a lot of my shit, like my flak jacket, my hat, the bones I wore, like all this different stuff. The bus they used to like create my death mask makeup. And I got it all, and it used to sit in my living room, and I was going to give it to my son,
Yeah.
And Rico Ross and I did a little thing, a paid gig at, there was a big prop show. And they had alien stuff. Like they had it wasn't the number one smart gun, but it was like the number 2.
Right.
And I told the guy running it this story, and he was like, ugh. I said, just curious, like, what do you imagine that those things would be worth today? And he was like, I could probably get like $750,000 for it. Well,
did you call your son immediately at that point, or
no? I mentioned that I was going through a divorce, and my ex-wife, who's a lovely lady, I love her to death, but
I love all my ex-wives too.
Yeah, it's a good position to have. Right?
It's the only one to have.
But I called her up to say, hey, this stuff. She went, I threw that away.
Yeah.
And it went, oh, you're kidding. Plus, divorce is really bad because, if you've hurt a woman, they can be spiteful. So I had purchased this case of wine for my son when he was born from his birth year. And it was like 600 pounds. Well, today's money, it's like 40,000 pounds.
Yeah.
But my ex, when I went back and I was like, you still have the case of wine, right? Because it's for Adam. She had actually opened the box, which is kiss of death. As soon as you open it, it devalues. And she was taking this gorgeous friggin' wine to pizza parties. So I could go on. I've got a lot of shitty stories, but my life in general is good.
And you still love her, yeah.
Let me see. All right. So, do you remember your casting process in Aliens?
Yeah.
Kind of tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, agent called, hey, I got this audition for you. You got to go out to Pinewood Studio. There was no script to see. Sides we didn't even have sides then. This was just an interview.
Right.
Walked in, met with Gail. And, it's
just Gail.
Just Gail.
Okay.
And, the proverbial line of so what have you been up to?
Right.
Lately, right? And luckily, I just come off this movie with Al Pacino called Revolution. And
they were. I thought they were shooting that at the same time.
No, we had finished.
Oh, yeah. You got to see Al Pacino in Revolution. Not one of Al's.
That's a tough one.
You're gonna have to cut to Mark's face. Well, I'm not going to say anything. We just.
Yeah, really.
Do you know anything about Revolution, Jim?
Clunker stinker.
Yeah, well, I told you on the 4th of July, I was trying to decide which one of the two really awful Revolutionary War movies to watch, Mel Gibson's The Patriot or Al Pacino's Revolution.
Yeah.
And I chose Revolution because it had been so long. I'd even forgotten about it. That was a Hugh Hudson movie, I believe.
Hugh Hudson, the director of Chariots of Fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Nastasia Kinski. Oh, my God, she's so hot.
Wow.
But
so you worked on that as an actor?
Yeah.
I mean, if I go look, because I just saw him with that bandana on, and I just kind of I watched 5 minutes of something once and just thought this is so wrong. This street guy from New York.
It was wrong. What happened was I was hired to do 2 small scenes. I was supposed to be there 2 weeks. I was there for 3 months. 3 months.
Pinewood. So,
No. We were shooting in the north of England in a place called Hunstanton, which is up near Sandringham. It's on the middle northeast coast, sitting on this amazing bay called the Wash, which is from Hunstanton, when the tide is out, you could cross right over to Lincolnshire. You could see Lincolnshire from across the bay. But it's famous for royalty at the time. They had taken carriages across the Wash as a shortcut. Otherwise, you had to go all the way around to get to Lincoln. They would go across, but numerous people got caught in the Wash because when the tide comes back in, it takes no prisoners. It would drown people in carriages and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. In fact, I was up with a buddy a long time ago after I finished drama school, and his parents lived in Lincolnshire, and we went out into the Wash. We dropped some acid, and we were hitting golf balls. We were hitting golf balls out on the Wash,
yeah, of course,
and just fucking around. And all of a sudden, my buddy goes, "Oh shit, run!" And he took off, and he was like, "I'm not fucking kidding, run!" And we're running, and as I'm running, I swear to you, the water is coming in around our feet.
Christ.
And man, we hauled
that quickly.
Oh yeah. Wow. And we hauled butt. But anyway, getting back to Revolution. So I have this one scene, the scene I did with Pacino, it completely blew any sort of idolization I'd had of him as an actor because he was he wasn't in the movie. So I did this scene where I had to get him to sign like this proclamation type thing. So I'm handing.
What were you playing?
I was just like a commoner, but we were getting people to sign petitions like
the revolution.
for the revolution. And so I hand this thing to him, and I hand this quill.
Yes.
And it slipped out of my hand, and it was like, well, the action of the scene is to get him to sign. I bent down to pick it up and handed it to him, just finish the take. He fucking breaks the take, and he's like, fuck it. He fucked up. He fucked up that camera angle right there. And Hugh was like, no, just keep playing the scene, Al. He's like, no, I'll bet you $100. He blew it. Like, he cut right in front of my face on my close-up camera. And I'm looking at him going, whoa, that's where your brain is in the middle of a fucking scene? You're worried about them, where they place the camera? It was totally weird. Anyway.
It's going to be fun talking to him about Leonardo DiCaprio.
Totally different reaction. But yeah, I was completely taken aback by him. I thought, like,
so one scene you had with him, and it was
and then hung out. Then I had another scene with Nastasia Kinski, and that was it. And the rest of the time, it was kind of
maybe he was just in a bad mood.
No.
Maybe he had dude. Go ahead.
I can't stand him as an actor. I think he's horrible. Wow. I mean, Godfather, Dog Day Afternoon, Serpico, great. But since then, fucking kidding me? No, God, he's like overacting, like horrible. Now Leo though, but different story.
Okay, well let's see. Let me skip past Shawshank for a moment, and since we're talking about Leo. There.
Yeah.
There's good. You're putting that up. There's a shot of you and Leonardo DiCaprio from the Departed.
Yeah.
That movie, Jack Nicholson, Leonardo DiCaprio. You got a picture of him and Jack. Fucking incredible. Look at that.
Yeah.
You look more intense than he does. Look at you in that. You look like, if I saw that, sometimes I could just look at a picture and go, that guy's fucking involved. He is involved in this situation. Now, Jack's got his glasses on, and as he usually does.
Yeah.
Like I've got mine on here. But anyway, you look like, I don't know what's going through your head there, but if I saw you looking at me like that, I would just kind of
wither,
bow, and wither, and walk the other direction.
Well, it was fascinating this night shooting. We were in Red Hook, in like a dilapidated old. It was like a cargo hold, for like it was a dock, and in this scene we're fronting off these Chinese guys, and we're making an exchange of hard drives and stuff.
I know the
for
scene,
a bunch
of course.
money. It was fascinating because the night before we shot, we all came to set, and Scorsese came onto the set because there's this hierarchy, right? Like secondary actors,
of course.
Then Leo, then Jack, and then Marty. And if Marty can't walk on the set and go action, this particular day he comes on set and he calls Joe Reedy, his first AD, and he goes, Joe, what the fuck is this? What is this? And Joe's like, it's the location we visited and you chose. He was like, no, not feeling it. No, send everybody home. Send everybody home. And we're all looking like, go home? Yeah. They sent all of us home, came back the next day, we're in a different location, and we do this scene. So the hierarchy of people come on, right? So Leo is around, Jack comes on, and Jack, and I love the guy. The dude, he's a man's man. He's a stud.
Yeah.
But he comes on set and he goes, gentlemen. We're like, hey, Jack, how's it going? And he's walking away and he goes, the nose. And we're going, are you fucking kidding me? And Jack's going, he looked at me, he was like, he the first take that he did of this scene was absolutely riveting. It was unbelievable. And
when he's talking to the Chinese guys?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was so intense, so amazing.
The camera was on him.
Yeah.
Okay.
And because he has a clause in his contract, like if you don't shoot Jack out on a Friday night.
Okay. You could have been the Lakers game, right?
Something.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
We were in New York City. He had to be in his hotel room, in the room, by midnight. And if he wasn't, you paid him $500,000.
Right.
So they were going to shoot him out tonight, but I often thought about it because he was so brilliant. But each successive take got worse and worse to the point where Ray Winstone and I were like, we're about to crack up. And I always thought that he did that because he loved the first take. He threw down what he wanted, and he kind of intentionally sabotaged the subsequent takes because he was forcing Scorsese's hand to cut it, to use this. Okay. Or I thought he did enough coke that he was starting to lose it. You know, he was just getting too high because he started doing some bizarre shit, like it was clown shit.
Right.
But fascinating, just fascinating. Like he's an icon, man. You know, it's
I want to, Mark, if you've seen this, bear with us. But I have run across something online, somebody else's podcast, to who's ever podcasted this. I'm sorry that I'm replaying it. Don't sue me. I'm already being sued. I don't have any money left. Absolutely.
The lawyers got it all.
Yeah, the lawyers and like my settlements and like my ex. I got
exes.
But there's Matt Damon is talking a little bit about working with Jack Nicholson, and we're gonna play this. Do you know this?
No.
Do you know it? Okay.
No.
Okay. Okay. Well, watch this. I think you'll enjoy it. It's actually 3 minutes long, but you know.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Actually, when I did The Departed, I was in this rehearsal in pre-production, and it was just me and Jack Nicholson and Scorsese, and we had a few hours together. And at one point, Marty got up to either use the bathroom or have a cup of coffee or something, and it was just me and Jack in the room. And he turned around and he goes, "You know, I never would have made it this far in my career if I wasn't a great fucking writer."
Really?
Yeah, out of nowhere. And it was the most, and I went like, and it was like everything clicked into place. And I went, of course, like how do you have a 40-year career?
Right.
Without being able to put your own kind of imprimatur on something, or, you know, understand.
Fix it.
Yeah, fix it or not touch a comma of it.
Right.
And, you know what I mean? And,
he knew it.
And be more often right than wrong. It's like, it's because he was a great writer. I'll give you one story. I mean, I've probably told you this because it's one of my favorite. It was my favorite thing that happened on The Departed about a scene that I was not in, but he was. And the scene said, it was 1/8 of a page, and it said, Costello, which is the name of his character, Costello executes man kneeling in the marshes. Mm-hmm. Right, so you go, okay. Now, if you most people look at that and they'll go, all right, it's going to be one shot. You know, that's going to be an hour of work, and and that's all I'm doing that day or whatever. He looked at that and he goes, okay, I can do that, but I think I can make it better. And so he's telling me this story. He goes, so what I do is, he goes, I come from the Roger Corman school, so I'm not going to add any time, and I'm not going to add to your budget. But instead of a man kneeling in the marshes, I make it a woman. And I go, oh, okay. And he goes, so I'm going to execute a woman, but I'm not going to be alone. I put Ray in the scene with me, and that's Ray Winstone, who plays kind of his right-hand man, this brilliant English actor. And he goes, so I put Ray in the scene with me. And I do the thing, and I shoot her in the back of the head, like it says in the script. But if you leave the camera rolling, after she falls, I turn to Ray and I say, geez, she felt funny. Now that's a really sinister thing to say. Because it means I do this a lot, and there's a way people fall.
Right.
And she didn't fall that way. And I go, oh, I get it, man, I get it. He goes, now you could end the scene there, but if you leave the camera rolling, Ray steps forward and he reveals that he's holding an axe. He's going to chop her up.
Oh, man.
Now, you could end the scene there. He goes, but if you leave the camera rolling. I turn to Ray and say, wait, I think I want to fuck her again. And he goes, now that's a very sinister line. And I go, I get it. It's really, really, really disturbing. And he says, now you could end the scene there. But if you keep the camera rolling, Ray stops and looks at me. And there's a pause. And I go, ah. He goes, and that's a sinister thing to do because we're making a joke out of this whole thing. And I go, yeah, I get it. He goes, now you could end the scene there. But if you leave the camera rolling. God. Ray says, Francis, you really ought to see someone. And so that's what they did. He took this 1/8 of a page scene and he did all of that.
Yeah.
And they had 2 cameras on it so it could cut back and forth. And what Marty ended up cutting was he shoots her, she falls. He says, geez, she fell funny.
Right.
And Ray looks at him and says, Francis, you really ought to see someone.
Right.
Right. So, but he just gave him all of these options.
Right.
As dark and as sick as you want to go.
Yeah.
And he's playing a psychotic killer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's just, that's what a great writer looks like.
That's right.
Well, that's interesting.
Had you seen this before?
No.
You'd never seen that before.
No, but I knew of it because there's another thing that I can tell is that I have this great death scene in the movie, right?
Yes. Yes.
And
wait, before you start that, Jim, what did you say to me earlier about
My friend Adam Novak, who has worked at William Morris for 35 years, I was talking to him earlier today, and he said, you have one of the great classic death scenes in movies from Departed. So that's the build up to that.
Anyway,
very sweet.
Go ahead.
Wow, thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it was an amazing day shooting the scene. But what I wanted to say was, this death scene is something I've been looking forward to shooting the entire shoot. It was such a great, great, great scene. And during the course of shooting, I kept getting these revisions. And my death scene was like, a page and a half. And it was getting whittled down each successive time. And then I was like, what the fuck? Scorsese doesn't like me. I'm doing something he doesn't like, or what's going on? And one day I came on set and Jack was like, hey, Mark, do you like what I did with your character? And I was thinking, what you did? Yeah, do you like it? And I was like, yeah, sure, because I've been seeing the revisions and wasn't liking it at all, but I was like, yeah, it's great. I was so despondent and depressed because my scene went from a page and a half to like next to nothing.
An eighth of a page.
It was an eighth of a page.
Should have done with Jack.
Yeah.
No, go ahead with your story.
Keep the camera rolling.
So it was really depressing. This scene is one of the last scenes we did in the movie. And I get flown back to New York. I'm really not looking forward to it. And get in my hotel room, and it's like, I don't give a fuck anymore. It's like,
this is your death scene that you're going to shoot.
Yeah, it was
the
been
big
cut
down to an eighth from a page and a half. Okay.
Yeah, to nothing.
Right.
And I get in the hotel room, and I'm really kind of foul mood, and this big envelope gets pushed under the door. I go over and pick it up. I think it's just the call sheet.
Yeah.
This big fucking envelope that says in black marker, "This is the scene!" Triple exclamation point, underlined. As per Marty, triple exclamation point, 3 lines under it. So I'm like, what? And I open it, and it's the full scene. It's the full scene. And days prior to getting this, I was in the hotel with Bill Monahan, the writer. And I was like, Bill, I confronted him. I said, Bill, the fuck are you doing with my death scene? And he put his hands on his face, and he's like, it's not me. It's not me. It's fucking Nicholson. I said, what do you mean? He goes, he fancies himself a writer. He's been rewriting the entire fucking movie as we go along. And I said, well, what do you mean? And Scorsese lets him do it. He says, we're mollifying him because if we don't, we're afraid he might walk the picture. I said, really? And then it all clicked. That's why Jack said that thing to me that day. He was fucking around writing, not even his own shit. I'm just swear to you.
Yeah.
But what a relief to be able to have that, the whole thing to play. Working with Leonardo is friggin' amazing. He's the real deal. He's a great person. He's a great human being. And yeah, man, we shot 10,000 feet of film on this scene. And
on that scene,
dude, it was amazing.
I think Robert Rodriguez spent less film shooting,
I'm telling
movies.
you. No, it was absolutely amazing. And, and Michael Bauhaus, the DP, like, you can see, like, he this guy would spend 3 and 4 hours just lighting every corner of the set. And then we'd come in, and normally it'd be like hour and a half, whatever. But Marty just left the camera rolling, and we go back, and then he would send Joe Reedy in because Marty can't be on the set with all this smoke because of smoking cigarettes in his life and whatever else. But at the end of the day, we had been kicking it, and Joe Reedy comes in and he goes, "Hey, listen, I just want to let you know that Marty is very, very happy with the scene, and he just wants to know, is there anything else you want to do?"
This is, by the way, Leonardo over his shoulder, or Leonardo. Is it you and Leonardo, or you and?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
But Reedy comes over, and I'm laid
So
out
Leonardo's
on the couch.
there time after time after time doing your off camera all day long.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And then when Reedy comes over and he goes, like, look, he's really happy, but if there's something else you want to do, and immediately in my brain I'm thinking, because I hate actors.
You hate what?
Actors.
Actors?
Hate actors. I
thought you liked me, but okay.
No. I like people. I like actors, but generally it's a certain type of actor. Let me qualify.
Okay.
A certain type of actor.
Not me, right?
A certain type. No, not you. No, sincerely. But it's the certain kind of actor who, in this situation, they would go, we've been filming 10,000 feet of film, and what? I'm going to be this little twerp that's going to go, yeah, I was thinking that maybe I'd try this. Right. It's like, fuck off.
Were you going to change it to being gay at that time?
And but I was like, I'm not one of those kind of actors.
The gay actors he's got a problem with.
No. It's the actory actor. That's what it is.
Yeah, okay.
Actory actors I can't stand.
Al Pacino.
So Al Pacino. Yeah, totally. But all I could say was, I said, so he's really happy? He goes, he's really happy. So am I. Because you'd look like the biggest asshole after shooting 10,000 feet of film, and you go,
one more.
Yeah, can I try one more?
Again with the gay inflection. Well, that's pretty fascinating. But I guess maybe there's somewhere else where somebody else has got a story where they go, well, if you just. Yeah. When you're shooting on other actors, if you just stop the camera,
right.
I don't know if you understood that, but that's you just keep the camera rolling. I can do this, but if you just stop the camera,
right? Yeah, you cut him there. Yeah,
exactly.
That surprises me. What would be. Somebody like Nicholson has got to have so much fucking confidence in his own abilities that the idea that there were revisions done, and do you think that Nicholson was responsible for cutting your scene from 1.5 pages down to 1/8 of a page?
He was fucking with what I learned from Monahan. He was fucking with the entire script. And Scorsese, by the end of it, like I was in the van with Thelma Schumacher, who's his longtime editor. And just as we'd finished the last scene and we're driving off, the movie's done, and she turned to me and she was like, God, I'm so happy this is over. I said, really, why? She goes, I fucking hate Jack Nicholson. And so, and Scorsese too, like, did not like him because he created a whole bunch of problems. Another little segue.
Please keep them coming, man.
This is fascinating.
Really? We're making news.
So we're talking about like the 1/8 of a page,
yeah.
right? So there's another famous bit that's actually in the film, but there was a whole scene that had been written that Monahan wrote that was taken out by Nicholson, and it was replaced in one of the revisions with, and it was a single line, Costello fucks, and fucks weird. That's all it said.
Okay.
And Jack forced Scorsese to get the one actress, Kristen Dalton, and they got another actress, a black actress.
Yeah. I remember both of those beautiful women.
Yeah, beautiful. And Jack had this scene where they were dressed in beautiful negligees and shit, and there's a big pile of coke.
Yes.
And he forced Scorsese to shoot this, and Scorsese was like, Jack, this has nothing to do with the movie.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with
the film. It doesn't. It's in the movie, though.
But it made the movie.
Yeah.
But it's just weird imagery, and the coke goes flying in the air.
No, it's kind of a bizarre little part of the movie that, like, okay.
Not the character. And not the film. But it's fascinating. Like I Jack Nicholson, like I got to chatting with him one night, and it was like, because he wears the earwig, right? And I was like,
when he wears an earwig, because he's got people telling him in the lines. Yeah. Okay.
So he said to me, I said, what's with the earwig? And he was like, yeah, Marlon taught it to me. Marlon. I was like, really? What's it about? He goes, it makes everything more spontaneous. I hear it for the first time,
and I don't have to memorize my lines.
This is what he said to me.
Okay.
He said, I've never read the script.
What?
I said, what? Really? No. I like it to be spontaneous. And I said, he said it's the same thing with the accent. I said, yeah, but you were born in Brooklyn. You can't do a Boston accent. He's like, no. For something, I'm not gonna bother. And it's the one thing. It's the one performance in the movie, which he always has his Jack moments that are great. But it's the one part in the movie that's like,
Leonardo's accent was fucking great.
Yeah, but it's like Jack is in a slightly different film.
Yeah.
Just from the choices he made, it's slightly different, and but still, you got to admire the dude. I mean, he's got a mug. He's got a mug. Tells 1,000 stories.
Well, do you have any more?
That's all I got for now.
Okay.
I mean, ask me something. Might get reminded
maybe we'll stick with the movie for a while, just because there's a couple things. One is Ray Winstone. Have you ever seen a movie he did called Nail by Mouth?
Yes.
Fucking what a fucking performance that was.
Yeah.
That just like totally fucking blew me away. Do you know who directed that? Was that like one of the Mike Lee type of
Sounds
guys?
like, if I recall, I'm not.
Okay. Anyway, Ray Winstone, who really doesn't have that much to do in the movie because he's kind of next to Jack Nicholson the entire time, and maybe but he, it's almost like, he is a brilliant guy who I don't think in that movie there wasn't enough of him,
right?
To see, and that just reminds me of another English movie and another brilliant performance that I love, and
Sexy Beast.
What?
Sexy Beast.
Well, I know Sexy Beast. I'm not. I like Sexy Beast like everybody else, and he's in that, and he's the star of it or whatever. But now I'm talking about a completely different actor, and that's David Thewlis in Naked. Have you ever seen Naked? Okay, you got to see it. You got to see both those movies, Nail by Mouth and Naked.
Michael, do you know who directed Nail by Mouth?
Yes, I do, because I have it written down here.
Gary Oldman, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, Gary directed Nail by Mouth. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you know him?
Gary and I came, like when I got out of drama school, he and I did a play in London
Really?
called Death Watch, Jean Genet's Death Watch.
Oh,
And,
okay.
And it was me and Gary and this other actor who, I can't remember the dude's name, but he was like Ian McKellen's lover at the time.
Okay.
But yeah, working with Gary, he's a friend. I really admire him. He's pretty phenomenal guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Done some amazing work.
Let me see if I got anything else on. Well, here's something funny too. That like I remember watching the movie, and I can remember since watching the movie, years later, and I went back to rewatch it or whatever. But I remember thinking to myself years after I'd seen the movie, what a difficult fucking deal when you're basically this is Leonardo DiCaprio, right? He's walking down the street, la-di-da, and fucking Martin Sheen comes fucking down and whap! Right whap! Right in front of just splats all over the cement and throwing off like 15 floors. And I was just to say to myself, as an actor, like, what am I... Wow, what would gee, that's one where I go to Scorsese. Listen, you got any ideas about you want this big? You want
What are
this
you
small?
looking for here? Yeah,
Bring
what
in
do
the
you want,
tear
Mark?
machine here, And I mean, that's just like from an actor's standpoint, it's just like, wow, what, And I've always kind of made that joke. And then I rewatched the movie the other day because you were in it, of course. And I wanted to talk to you about it. And he's fucking awesome. He's fucking awesome in the way that he deals with that moment. Yeah. And, he is, I like that movie where he plays the South African. What's that movie?
The
Blood Diamond.
Blood Diamond.
Blood Diamond, yeah.
Oh, yeah. What a fucking performance and what a stud. And back then, back when he was doing The Departed and he's doing those fucking love scenes, lucky her, she's got Leonardo and Matt Damon working on her.
Leonardo is he's an impressive guy. He's very, very grounded and about the work, and really, really cool guy. But I felt bad for him because we had the luxury of being in New York City and in Boston making a huge Scorsese movie. That's can't get much cooler than that.
Right.
Except doing a Jim Cameron movie in London. But we kept saying to him, he's like, hey, like, Leo, we're all in the Four Seasons. Like, come on down and have a beer. We're just gonna shoot the shit. And he was like, yeah, I'll do that. And then we called him to say, dude, we're downstairs. Like, come on down just for a beer. And he was like, guys, like, I really can't. And we're like, why? He was like, come on. He's like, dude, all it takes is one person to take one picture, right, and call somebody. He said, there will be 4,000 people here in 2 minutes.
Just because him there. Right.
And it happened when we were on the set. We were filming in Williamsburg when we did all the bar scene where you first meet Costello and the gang. And we went in the morning, did a bunch of shooting. By the time we came out, I swear to you, the cops had to keep this throng of women like 2 blocks away. 1,000 women, easy. He comes out, Leo, oh my God, Leo. And then Jack is climbing up on a fire truck, a bunch of firemen wanted to say it at Nicholson. And Jack, here he is, he's 74. He fucking hauls himself up and he's glad handing with the cops, the firemen. And I was like, oh my Lord, like this is for real. These guys will move people. But the biggest compliment I ever got, my whole career, we walk on set in Williamsburg, and Ray Winstone had been shooting with Jack, so he was kind of friendly. So he was kind of like being master of ceremony. He was like, and Jack, this is so-and-so, and this is so-and-so. So he says, and this is David O'Hara. He goes like, oh, yeah. And then he goes to introduce me, and Jack stopped him. He goes, Ray.
Oh, wow.
I know who Mark is.
Wow.
And I'm thinking to myself, whoa, Jack Nicholson knows who I am? He was like, very nice to meet you. And he's looking me right in the eye with these big fucking hands of his. I mean, really, he had hands the size of a baseball mitt, like a catcher's mitt. And when I shook his hand, I was like, I would never want to be in an alley fight with this dude because he's built like a bull.
Jack?
He's built like a bull. His legs are like a linebacker, like John Riggins, the linebacker. And his hands, like I'm not little, but
yeah, no, you're not.
His hands engulfed my hands.
Really?
And I was like, wow. Tough, amazing guy. He's got a lot. He's got like what actors really have to have is you've got to have weight and presence.
Do you know why he knew you? Do you know why he said?
I imagine it was from Shawshank.
From Shawshank, right? Oh, we haven't even talked about Shawshank.
Yeah.
How much? Where are we?
Hour 10.
Let me talk about Shawshank because Shawshank is a movie that I hadn't seen for whatever reason. That movie just like went over my.
I know you told me that, and I was like,
but sometimes, Mark, and I'm just going to be fucking honest here. Sometimes I'll see a movie, and I'll see a guy like you and Clancy Brown in it, and go, So I just don't watch it because I don't want to hurt myself because I know it's good. And Clancy Brown and you are fucking both in it. I could have played either one of those roles, but I didn't. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I was probably.
Did you read the script?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't. There's a lot of times, Mark, people say, well, why didn't you do this? Or why didn't you that? There's a few things that I passed on, just meetings and stuff that I passed on along the way, but not very often. First of all, you did almost back-to-back movies with Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
So, and is he as regal and as he comes across?
Talk about weight and presence.
Yes.
It's there in that guy.
I mean, yeah. Can you talk to me about him and what it was like being around him, working with him, because he's had such a phenomenal career, and you, I've never met him, and of course, can you just,
Yeah. He does. He's real as real can be. No sides to him at all. He's like straight on. And two things, like there was one occasion when we were at the prison shooting Shawshank, and they were doing interviews and crap, so we were all kind of hanging around. And having done Hard Rain with him, and I was like,
did you Shawshank first and then Hard Rain?
I believe it's the other way around.
Okay.
Anyway, so when we sit on the set, and I was like, hey, Morgan, like, when is it that the powers that be finally get you? And he launches in and tells me his life story about doing electric company, couldn't get arrested. People told him couldn't get arrested for like 10 years.
As an actor.
Right. Imagine, this is Morgan Freeman we're talking about.
Yeah.
He said, people said I was too black, not black enough, too tall, had these little marks on his face.
Yeah.
It was ugly. All this shit that, people say, if you're in a casting room, people can be fucking brutal. Like, I know people have said about me, like, God, you're awfully white, and you're kind of pink. And it's like, they can say crazy shit. But anyway, Morgan told me his story that when he was looking after his kids and his kids' kids, he was like responsible for like 10 individuals. And he was driving a cab in New York City.
Wow.
And just happened to be one day he had a fare that took him to this location, Lower East Side. He drops the fare off, and then he grabs these sides that he had. He's supposed
Driving
to
with Stan.
He's right outside the building where he's supposed to have an audition in like 45 minutes. He had forgotten about it, and he was like, "Oh shit, yeah, we're."
All right.
Oh, and he hadn't read them, anything. He's like, "Screw it, I'll just cold read it." and the movie was called Street Smart with Christopher Reeve and Kathy Baker.
Right.
And he,
I worked on that screenplay
bruh,
on developing it. We
Wow.
developed it out of Jeff Berg's office with David Freeman was the writer. It was based on kind of a true incident in his life. And I think it's a terrific movie.
oh, but the scene.
What's the name of the
Remember
movie?
this scene,
Go ahead.
Jim,
Street Smart.
with the scissors. He holds a pair of scissors, like the sharp end of a scissor, right to Kathy Baker's eye. It is the most gruesome, electrifying moment. And he said to me, he got an Academy Award nomination for that character.
Okay.
And he said, and Mark, he said, it was like somebody from on high just tapped me with a wand and said, you're it now. And he said, all the people who had told me he was too black, not black, too tall, this, you're ugly. But suddenly, he was everybody's favorite. And I said, what was that like? He's like, I maintained my cool. I never busted anybody over it. I was just so, he said, it was like I was anointed. And I got all these amazing opportunities. And you think about, it's so bizarre in Shawshank, you know, Rob Reiner, originally wanted, this was his wish list for Shawshank. Now, you'll laugh.
Is Rob Reiner produced? Was he?
Yeah, he was head of Castle Rock. He was head of Castle Rock.
Yeah, it was Castle Rock movie.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
But he wanted, as Andy Dufresne, Tom Cruise. And he wanted, as Red, which I understand, I'm having a blank, Gene Hackman. Now, Gene Hackman would have been really cool casting. I would have bought it. Tom Cruise, no fucking way. The movie, you know, but that they had the foresight to cast Morgan, who has the same kind of weight as Hackman, right?
Yeah.
It was genius. Genius. And, Morgan is like, he's an idol. I mean, like all things, you know, he, after the narration in Shawshank, you know, people abused it, like in $1 Million Baby and et cetera, but he was the most amazing guy because this one little story I'll tell. I wasn't around for it.
Tell as many stories as you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we're all doing the roof scene, you know, all the inmates getting the beer.
Get the beer, yeah.
Great fucking scene.
Yeah, awesome, yeah.
And they were shooting all day, and it was a hot day in Ohio,
Yeah,
and
okay.
they got most everybody, and they got all of Morgan's stuff, and the next day, you know, he was leaving set. He took a break in the middle of filming to go down to the Virgin Islands where he kept a house and a boat just to decompress. And the next morning, so they're going to continue with the scene. It was like a 6:30 a.m. call, and who's standing there before everybody but Morgan? And the producer's freaking out, going, Morgan, like, you're supposed to be on a plane to go to the Virgin Islands. Like, what are you doing? You're not supposed to be. He was like, yeah, like, take it easy. I changed my flight. I got to be here. All these guys, all these actors,
Wow.
were on my side. You know, were off camera for me. He said, I'm just doing my job. And I was like, dude, the coolest person. That's what real actors do. None of this bullshit about, like, you don't show up.
Yeah.
You know, or, hey, it's late, I'm going to split, you know.
Yeah.
Amazing. Just amazing dude. And I just admire the hell out of him. And he really is salt of the earth kind of person. He's deep. Quiet and deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that that movie, in the way that it has throughout the years become more, and people like it more. And now, I mean, I understood it once I watched it. Put my ego away and went and watched it. I'm like, fuck, like this. This is awesome. But I think it's the only movie that I'm aware of that shows up more on television than Tombstone.
Yeah, and
that
dude,
thing is-
dude, if I can tell you,
You're going to compliment me for playing Johnny Ringo?
well, I'm gonna tell you, I didn't watch
Tombstone.
kind of like for the same reason you didn't,
Yeah.
because I knew you guys were going off and doing that. And Paxton had told me, stuff, and I didn't get an audition for this movie.
Never
even got seen.
Right.
So I didn't watch it, but I got to tell you, I watched it recently, and bro, with Val Kilmer too, like the famous scene.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable what you did, and not just the thing with the gun, which is extraordinary in and of itself, but you two playing off each other, and that was a fucking hell of a job, Johnny Ringo, and it's a really really great movie. I mean, and Val Kilmer's performance, it was deep, it was great stuff. So.
Mark,
we're alike in ways.
That movie was written by Kevin Jarre, and Kevin Jarre was the first director on it. He got fired. He wrote Glory. It was a great script.
Morgan Freeman, one of Morgan Freeman's movies.
Yep.
You heard him talk about knowing when to change the script or not changing a comma. And that was one where, it was written so well. I got a call from my agent, Ed Lamano, who's, Ed handled Richard Gere and Mel Gibson and Michelle Pfeiffer and Denzel and lots of great people. Yeah. And so
Steve Martin
couple of stars.
Liam Neeson and
Wow.
He called
He had
me.
probably the best client roster in Hollywood at one point.
Oh yeah.
He called me and he said, there's a script, Tombstone. They want you to read it. I don't know who they is, Andy Vanya, Kurt. Kurt was, responsible for getting that thing up and made. They want you to read it. I don't know where I was in my career, 1993, whatever. Kurt's playing Wyatt Earp. Any other part in the movie, we'd be interested in what you think about it, Michael. So I read the script. I'm like, yeah, I want to play Doc Holliday. Because actors know. Yeah. Actors fucking know.
Yeah.
And a couple of days went by, and it looks like that might go to Val. And Val, and then they said, "Is there any other character that you'd be interested in playing?" I said, "Well, when you have a line like, 'I want your blood and I want your soul and I want them both right now,' I like that character. I like Johnny Ringo." And so I met Kevin, and that happened, and that whole movie was a kind of a disaster. And it was the fact that now people talk about that movie. Nobody got nominated. It wasn't a big blockbuster. It didn't get. Did I read my reviews? Yes, I used to read reviews. I used to like to hear nice things about myself or know if somebody thought I didn't do a good job. New York Times, L.A. Times, San Francisco Chronicle, the two trade papers. What do they call Jim? The Hollywood Reporter and the Variety.
And Daily Variety, yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't find a review that even mentioned Michael Biehn in it. And now, 30 years later, even though I did Terminator, and even though I did Aliens, and even though and had good parts in both of them, and did The Abyss with Jim, that's the movie, Mark, that people are, Johnny Ringo. I had you said your greatest compliment I ever, probably the best compliment I ever had was I was at a show, one of the signings, and I'm just sitting there, and I got my head down, and I get tapped on my shoulder, and I look up. It's Richard Dreyfuss, okay? Richard Dreyfuss is like, I'm like, Richard Dreyfuss? Hey, Michael. He says, he just went right into it. How'd you do it? You got to tell me where that came from. You got to tell me how you did that. Where did that come from? Tell me. I was kind of frantic. Tell me. Where did it come from? Where did it come from, Michael? Where did it come from? I'm like, well, what are you talking about? Johnny Ringo. What? Johnny Ringo? Where did that, how? Tell me. Please tell me where that came. I was like, wow,
Well, I got to say, I mean, you were not yourself. There was nothing Michael about that character. You were so inside that character. It was phenomenal.
Here's one thing, Mark, I'll say about that. First of all, it's written so well that you didn't want to change anything. And when words are that good, it's hard not to be good. But one of the things about that character was other characters in the movie were always talking about Johnny Ringo. When I meet Doc Holliday, he says, "Oh, Johnny Ringo, the fastest gun in the so. Oh, yeah, I think he reminds me of me, So that sets a tone. There's one part where I'm drunk, I'm Wyatt Earp, gunfight, I want your blood, I want your soul, and Powers Booth says, God knows what's going to happen when Johnny Ringo gets a hold of this, or starts running this
takes
group.
over, yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, you think Wyatt's going to go out and he's talking to Doc about Johnny Ringo. What makes a man like Johnny Ringo? He was born with a big hole where his heart's supposed to be, And so I have all these other characters talking about my character. And I just said the lines. I didn't feel like I had really had.
Well, but see, that's to me is the essence. So I hit it when I did my audition for Shawshank. I walked out of the audition. I went, I finally did it. I just talked. It was and then later, and then I didn't hear for 3 months.
Wow.
3 months. And I was going through a divorce. And
how many divorces have you been through?
2.
Just 2.
Yeah,
okay.
2 divorces, 3 marriages, yeah.
Got that in
it's a
common.
nice
We're
round
the same
number.
age, too. I'm 6 months younger than you.
Comfort zone is
Wait. Go back to what, yeah.
So I didn't hear for 3 months. And then suddenly one day, like I moved out, I'm separated from my wife. I was in this little apartment, getting up in the morning to go for a morning run. And I get this call from Frank Darabont, the writer, director of Shawshank.
Yeah, of course.
And he tells me, he said, you got the part. And I was like 9 a.m. he called me. I was like, what? He said, yeah, man. I said, I'm so sorry it took so long, but this is it. He said, Rob Reiner didn't want you. I was like, oh. He's like, yeah. He said, he made me go to New York City for 3 months auditioning slews of people. He said, I'm not going to tell you who. He said, but you've beaten out some huge names for this part. And he said, and I believe in you. And he said, and he told me what he'd done. He said, we had the final meeting with all the production staff and Reiner and everybody in a theater in Castle Rock, and we watched the last 5 choices for the supporting characters. And Frank had gone to the projectionist. They were like slipping in disc back then. He said, at the end of the 5th, on this role in particular, slip this disc in immediately after. Just, right? And I'll take care of you. So they ran the 5 auditions. He slipped in mine. And apparently Darabont got up and he went, and if you don't think that's the guy for the role, then you're stupid. And Reiner was like, okay, you can have this guy. And I'm telling you, man, like I was in a low point in my life, but I cried. I went for my 5 mile.
That's why they called him Meathead, by the way.
Yeah, read it.
But go ahead.
I ran, and people must have thought I was crazy because I was just bawling. I was like, thank fucking God. Like, I talk about needing it this time, and I knew how great a script it was. It was like the time we'd read Aliens. Yeah. God, I read that script, and it was like, I flew through it. It was so incredible. And Shawshank was the exact same thing. I knew how great the script was. And interestingly enough, like what we do as actors, you read the script, and it's like, well, I like that part. So I meet Deb Aquila, and she goes like, so what are you thinking about? I said, I really want to read for Hadley, who's Clancy Brown's character.
Yeah, of course.
And she's like, Frank's got somebody else in mind for that. I said, come on. I said, please. I said, look. I said, just let me have a go. She goes, she looked at me and she went, read Boggs. I went, Boggs? She goes, yeah. She goes, read Boggs. I was like, okay. And I was kind of disappointed. Like, you don't even give me a shot at Hadley. I could have done a great job with that as well.
Yeah.
But thank God, you know, it was a blessing in that, you know, it's such a great movie, but it's also a detriment because people for the longest time were like, oh yeah, you're the guy from Shawshank. Oh yeah, you can't be funny. Oh yeah, it worked against me for a while, you know, because people would just they saw me as this character wherever I went.
That reminds me of Michael Rooker and Jim, what was the name of the movie that Michael Rooker did first where he played the serial killer? Do you know the name?
Diary of a
Sea of Love, I think.
What's it? No.
The Pacino movie?
No.
He
was a star. He was a serial killer. Yeah, and it was like his first breakout role, and he was this. Okay. It was a great movie.
Yeah.
Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Portrait of a Serial Killer, and nobody fucking touched him for fucking years because he was so fucking scary. Yeah. So the same thing. So you feel that happened to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the amount of times where I'd be stopped in the street with people like practically spitting on me.
Well, listen, here's an example of my own ego and me, you know, just like being me. Fucking 40 years ago or whatever, I did a Hill Street Blues, a 3-episode, you know, Hill Street Blues things. And in the first episode, I play this rookie cop, just racist, whatever you call it, with women, you know, gay, you know, whatever. Thank you, Jim. Misogynist, just like fucking hated everybody, but thought his shit fucking didn't stink, you know, just you know. And at the beginning of the movie, I'm hazing Tim Robbins. Not the beginning of the movie, the beginning of the before the show starts, they do like a 3-minute. Before the show starts on the Hill Street Blues, they do like a 3-minute cut. They go to a commercial or they go straight into the episode. And in that 3-minute period of time, I hazed him bad enough that he hung himself. Okay. But he didn't have any dialogue or whatever. I just basically, you know, hazing him. And then you hear later on in the episode that he's hung himself because of what I did to him. So that was my introduction to Tim Robbins. And so, you know, as I watched his career, you know, become, you know, he became more and more successful. I became more and more jealous, you know, that, you know, it's not that many people. And I can, you know, I know who they are, Kevin Costner and the guy that just got off for the shooting thing, Baldwin, Alec Baldwin. Tom Cruise, Mel Gibson, you know, there's a number of people that like, are just, I'm not even sure what I'm talking about anymore.
You know, just, I think you're saying, you know, the you know, guys who have had long careers and carried movies and, and, you know, Tim's performance in Shawshank is fantastic. I mean, it was, again, an ensemble cast. We rehearsed for 3 weeks,
right?
Which is so unusual. It's phenomenal. The one little anecdote I want to talk, and you know, I can tell. I like stories. You know, we were behind shooting, and then the word came down from Castle Rock. We had to cut shit. So, for example, when Hadley comes in and he beats Boggs up with the truncheon, what was actually written was they beat the shit out of me, then they grab me and they fling me off of the 4th tier.
Yeah.
And they had this amazing shot, a cable where I was going to be hung on another harnessing cable, and they were going to run the camera up a cable so it would do the reverse illusion of me falling. And it was all set up. I was willing to do it. I had been in the harness already the day before just to test to make sure, you know, I still have children after. And that was one of the scenes to go. And I was like, oh, God, that's too bad, but I get it. You know, he beat me up anyway. It still works. But the one thing that they cut out of this movie was after Andy gets out of the sewer and he holds his hands to the sky, in the script, the real script, he starts to run back up the hill toward the prison. and the prison was silhouetted in light. So the audience would have gone, "No, wrong way, dude."
Yeah.
And they had a fully working steam locomotive on the railroad tracks, ready to go, because it was going to come down in front of the prison, and Andy hops the train, and that's how he gets to the town the next morning to deposit the money.
Right.
They cut the train for time and money,
Yep.
but it was the little linchpin to the whole story, because movie magic is amazing, right? There are shots early on in the film when Andy's looking out the window and you see these clouds. They were actually puffs of smoke from the steam locomotive, because Andy heard the steam locomotive.
Okay.
And it was one of the additional things that he timed out when the train was going to be coming by, how long it was going to take him to get out, run back up the hill, and hop the train. That would have been like taking this movie to an even another level. But time and money, it still works. But I begged the producer. I said, look, I don't care about me getting thrown off the pier. I said, but don't cut the train. Don't cut the train. And if you watch it again ever, it's a hard cut.
Yeah.
You know, it cuts from there to the next morning. And for a second, the audience must have gone, whoa, how did he? But if they'd kept the train and it was there, God, if I was the director, I would have just shot it just to have it.
Yes.
And, there's the notion of, like, less is more. But I always...
My wife always says to me.
But I always describe to Nick Nolte's maxim, which is more is more.
More is more. Well, can you talk to me about
another prison movie with Nick Nolte?
Yeah. The movie Weeds.
Weeds. Let me just tell you a quick story about Powers Booth and him, and then I want you to talk a little bit about Nick Nolte. So Powers was telling me that they had done a movie together called Supreme Pride. What was it called? It was the Walter Hill movie, Evidence, down south. I can't.
Southern Comfort, I think it was called.
No, not Southern Comfort. No, Extreme Prejudice. Extreme.
Yeah.
Okay. Extreme Prejudice. It's called Extreme Prejudice. So he said he told me a story about like first week of shooting. It was like big deal. They wrap on Friday. Nick Nolte says, "Hey, Powers, we just wrapped our first week. Why don't you come on over? Let's have a couple of drinks. It's Friday night." Powers says, "Yeah, okay, we'll do." Cut to Monday morning. Knock, 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 knock. Guys, your makeup, you're ready for makeup. But talk to me about Nick Nolte a little bit, because he's a pretty brilliant guy, too.
I think of all the actors I've worked with and loved, Nick is easily the most prepared, intense method kind of actor, and the smart dude. This dude is so smart. But he had this book. It was like a telephone book that was the script broken down, the arc of his character, newspaper articles, other related things. I mean, it was this thick. And he let me look at it. And I was like, he said, yeah, you were shooting out a sequence. I got to know where, get myself in the headspace of the arc of the character. And I just thought that was absolutely brilliant. He was amazing in the film. He got a Golden Globe nomination. And we all said, it was like, whoa, Nick, you're going to get an Academy nomination. He went, nah. I was like, what do you mean, nah? He was like, nah, they don't like me over there. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, yeah, they asked me to present Paul Newman with his Lifetime Achievement Award. And I told them to go fuck themselves because I don't want to be in their country club. And I went, oh, that'll do it.
Yeah, you did.
But Nick he's a great guy, and I'm telling you, like, he for some reason he glommed on to me. He never called me Mark. He'd always call me my character name Dave.
Okay.
And of a Friday night, he'd go, Dave, you're gonna drive me and Billy tonight. I was like, oh, okay, I'll drive you guys around, and I wouldn't drink.
Billy.
It was his best friend.
Okay.
And kind of like his handler.
Yeah.
yeah, they came up together, and Billy was a Vietnam vet.
Yep.
Tough sons of bitches. And I would drive him around. Okay. I wouldn't drink and just get him home, right? So this one night, early on in the shoot, and I'm just sitting at the bar just chatting, and there's a wedding party, and the bride sees Nick, and he was the sexiest man alive.
Yes,
one of the
of course
first,
he
right?
was. Yeah,
and handsome.
I know.
Handsome,
Yeah,
dude. Stud. And she comes there. He's like, "Oh my God, Mr. Nolte! Oh my God, I can't believe I'm seeing you. Could you give me a kiss?" And Nick's like, well, sure. And he's giving her a kiss and all. Then the groom gets hot, and he's coming over. He's like, "Hey, we just got married." And he was like, "Hey, dude, I'm just giving her a peck on the cheek." He said, "It's your wife,
right?
You handle her, not me." And the guy was like getting in his face, and Nick said, "Hey, look. Go back to your party, enjoy your wedding party. You don't want to go any further, right?" And he kind of gave Billy, the guy who persisted, he gave his friend Billy the wink. And dude, they took this guy, like hog collared him, like marched him through the kitchen, gave him a couple of jacks, and he came out and he was, "All right, Dave, let's go." And I'm like, "All right, say bye." Driving the car. But there was one night, because Nick, man, God bless him. Like he was sober during the week, totally sober. But there was this one weekend we were at North Carolina, Duke University. We're in this hotel on the campus, and Nick is pounding like triple vodkas and tonics. Like I think he had like 35 of them. No, I swear to you, I'm not kidding. I was counting because, he said, "Hang out with me, make sure I get home," and right. So he's pounding these things, and I swear and women are coming up and they're going, "Mr. Nolte, can I have your autograph?" And he goes, "Yeah, if you show me your tits."
Yeah.
And most of the women are like, "Oh, okay, well, here," and he'd go, "Yeah, okay, here." He's signing napkins, like illegible, but. And then this one old lady comes out and goes, "Mr. Nolte, I really admire your work. Like, can I get your autograph?" And he said to her, "Can I see your tits?" She full on slapped him right across the face, and Nick just kind of went, that's the way that goes. And then I was like, "Hey, Nick, hang right here. I'm going to hit the John for a second. Don't go anywhere," right? I come back, he's gone. And he's like, I'm telling you, 30 triples in.
30 triples.
Triple, yeah.
That's
it's a wonder he stood.
Yeah, okay.
But we are, John Toll's band, I don't know if you remember John.
Yeah, Jay, I do.
So John and I are running up and down the hallways, going up the stores. Like, where the fuck is he? Suddenly we hit this one floor. There he is. Naked, walking down the hallway. And his wife had said to us before, it's like, "Make sure he gets home tonight." And I'm thinking, oh God. So I'm like, Nick, what the fuck? So it happened to be my floor in my room. I was like, come in. I say, "Here, put these clothes on. You can't be walking around like that. Put these clothes on." So he puts these clothes on. We exit my room, and then he's like, "Hey, I hear there's a party on the 13th floor." And it was like, so we go up to the 13th floor. And we're like, "I'm not even going into this party." I'm just like, "Nick, go ahead. I'll wait for you." Fuck. He goes in. 10 seconds later, Nick had exposed himself. Uh-huh. So, man, we grabbed him and we take him down to his floor. We're coming down. Here comes his wife, Becky. And she is pissed. Oh, my God. And she practically sort of frog marched Nick into his room. But Monday morning, 4:30 a.m. call.
Yeah.
He's in his chair, dude. But, God bless him. I know he had issues that I know he wasn't happy about it, but I don't know. It was a part of he was such a brilliant guy. Like part of Nick's struggle was being the sexiest man alive, and people weren't taking him seriously as an actor, and he was really deathly serious about his work. And I love the guy. I really admire him.
I never had a chance to spend very much time with him. I used to see him. I was doing a Friedkin movie, and I used to see him on the Paramount lot walking around. like the grubby pants and like grubby fucking, and like really grubby. I'm like when he looked like a homeless guy. The Beverly Hills, whatever that thing was that he played. That's
Yep.
That's
Down and Out.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always wondered what him and Billy Friedkin were like on the set together, because I worked with Billy, and Billy's fucking Bully Friedkin, we used to call him.
But Nick, he always wore hospital garb.
Yeah. Those hospital pants.
and-
I used to wear those too, but no.
And then the night we finished Weeds, I was going into town because I was flying out the next morning to go back to England to see my son. And Nick, like out of the blue, he was like, "Dave, where are you going?" I said, "Well, Tolls Bear and I are going to go into town." He goes, "I'm coming with you." And I was like, "Oh boy." But Nick had this gorgeous, like blue cashmere overcoat that he put on over top of his hospital garbs. And then he pulled out this wad. I mean, like this big. He goes, "Is this enough cash for us?" I said, yeah, that'll be fine. Because Nick was ready to get down. And and we go to this, Tolls Bay takes us to this all black club.
Yep.
Oh my God. Literally, Nick Nolte walks up, anything you want. We're sitting in this little waiting room. They're serving us champagne and shit, and girls are coming in, and the whole, and Nick was like, it was a magnet. And I had to leave. I was like, "Guys, I can't hang for the party. I got to get on a flight." And Nick and Tolls Bay went out all night around Chicago, south side of Chicago.
South side Chicago, yeah.
Nick
That's gonna be
Nolte.
rough, yeah.
I mean, I remember once like going in the south side with Tolls Bay for I was his son's godfather, and we're supposed to be going to the service, and John's like, "Yo, man, I'm just gonna make a little side road here. I gotta go get me a little weed." And I was like, "Yeah, whatever, John." So we're in Southside Chicago, and John's like, "Oh yeah, there's the dude." This kid took one look at me, and was like, he took off. And John's like, "Oh fuck, man, he thinks you're a cop."
Yeah.
It's funny.
I only play them in movies.
Yeah, right. Right.
Yeah, FBI, right? Yeah, I said, all right. Well, listen, this is
we've been
we're
going.
Almost 2 hours now, so we'll do it again.
Got some
but
editing.
we have some great stuff, and I had a good time. And it's nice talking. And Jim, this is really the point now where I say, "Do you have anything else?" And you're supposed to say, "No, Michael, I don't."
We covered everything, Michael.
Okay.
we had a guest on before. Jim read his book, and Jim knows all about you. And Jim is, he's here for, and about halfway through that interview, I said, "What you got?" Because I'm scrambling, looking for my notes. What am I going to ask next or whatever? And I said, "Jim, you got anything for Doug?" No, I think we're all. No. I think we got it all.
Covered everything, Mike. You got it all.
Next time we get together, we'll talk about. I got some other stuff here that we didn't even get to. So thank you, thank you very much for.
No, thank you, man. I'm telling you,
yeah.
it's one thing I can say that's for real is that like the cast of Aliens, like we've all remained friends.
Yeah.
And real friends.
Yeah.
And never experienced it on any other movie, any other set. But truthfully, love you, man. And yeah.
All right, man. Thank you.
All righty.
All right.
Someone dirtier than you are doing.